Welcome, everyone. You are tuning into a moment in tennis history that we will likely be talking about for decades to come. There's a storm brewing on the red clay of Paris, an unstoppable force. A tidal wave of talent, grit, and unprecedented national pride is sweeping to the grounds of Roland Garros, and it goes by the name of Alexandra Eala. The title of today's deep dive says it all. The rise of Alexandra Eala at Roland Garros cannot be denied anymore. We are standing at the precipice of a monumental shift in the landscape of women's tennis. And if you have not been paying attention to this 20-year-old Filipina sensation, you are missing out on one of the most spectacular sporting ascensions of the 21st century. Right now, as we speak in late May of 2026, the tennis world has its eyes firmly fixed on the French capital. The draws are out, the practice courts are packed, and the air is thick with anticipation. But amidst the usual chatter about the seasoned veterans and the established top 10, there's a different kind of electricity pulsing through the crowds. It is the undeniable buzz surrounding Alex Eala. Currently sitting at a career-high ranking of world number 38, Eala is not just participating in this year's French Open. She is arriving as a genuine threat, a proven giant slayer, and the undisputed pride of the Philippines. We are looking at a young woman who has fundamentally altered the geometry of the WTA Tour in just 14 breathtaking months. For those tuning in to get the immediate breaking news context, the 2026 Roland Garros main draw has placed Eala in a fascinating, albeit incredibly challenging, position. She is slated to open her campaign this Sunday against the highly talented American Iva Jovic, currently a formidable opponent who recently reached the round of 16 in Rome. It is a first-round blockbuster that has purists and casual fans alike clearing their schedules. But the news here is not just about a single match. The real story, the breaking narrative that has taken the internet and the global sporting community by storm, is how a player from a country not traditionally known for tennis dominance has single-handedly forced the world to watch. Eala is bringing capacity crowds to every stadium she enters. In Melbourne, in Manila, in Abu Dhabi, Doha, Dubai, and now Paris, the queues of devoted Filipino fans are wrapping around blocks hours before she even steps onto the court. Think about the magnitude of that. We are witnessing a cultural phenomenon. It is one thing to be a rising star. It is an entirely different stratosphere to be a national icon at the age of 20. Eala's journey to this moment at Roland Garros is the culmination of years of relentless sacrifice, moving away from her home in Quezon City at just 13 years old to train at the Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca, Spain. She was taught the ethos of the King of Clay himself, that to achieve greatness, you must learn to suffer on the court, to embrace the physical and mental torture of the sport, and to outlast your opponent. Now, play her first full professional season on the European red clay. Those lessons are being put to the ultimate test. In today's comprehensive deep dive, we are going to break down every single facet of this incredible story. We will trace her unbelievable breakout in 2025, where she shocked the world by defeating multiple Grand Slam champions, including the seemingly invincible Iga Swiatek, en route to the Miami Open semifinals. We will examine her tactical evolution, how this aggressive, hard-hitting left-hander is adapting her devastating ground strokes to the slow, demanding surface of court Philippe Chatrier and Suzanne Lenglen. We will look at her staggering 2026 season so far, a campaign that catapulted her into the world's top 50, an unprecedented milestone for any player representing the Philippines. And of course, we will analyze her brutal path forward in this year's French Open draw, breaking down potential matchups against the likes of Emma Navarro, Naomi Osaka, and Aryna Sabalenka. Grab a drink, settle in, and get ready, because we are unpacking the viral sensation, the tactical brilliance, and the sheer, undeniable rise of Alexandra Eala. The tennis world will never be the same, and the revolution is being televised right now. To truly understand the weight of Alexandra Eala's presence at Roland Garros this year, we have to rewind and look at the foundation of her extraordinary game, a foundation built on sacrifice, geographical displacement, and an unwavering commitment to excellence. Born in Quezon City, Philippines, athletic excellence was essentially encoded in her DNA. Her mother, Riza, was a professional swimmer who competed at the 1985 Southeast Asian Games, and her brother is also a budding tennis talent. But the path to global tennis supremacy is rarely forged in Southeast Asia. For decades, The epicenter of the sport has been localized in Europe and North America. To bridge that monumental gap, a drastic step was required. At the tender age of 13, when most children are navigating the simple complexities of middle school, Alex Eala packed her bags, left the familiar comforts of her home country, and relocated thousands of miles away to Mallorca, Spain. Her destination? The prestigious Rafa Nadal Academy. This wasn't just a change of scenery. It was a baptism by fire into the most rigorous tennis environment on the planet. Under the watchful eyes of the Academy's elite coaching staff, and often in the presence of the 22-time Grand Slam champion himself, Eala was meticulously stripped down and rebuilt as a modern tennis warrior. The ethos of the Nadal Academy is legendary. It is not merely about hitting a clean forehand or mastering a kick serve. It is about the mind. It is about understanding that to achieve absolute success on a tennis court, one must learn to suffer. You cannot just accept the physical burning in your lungs and the lactic acid in your legs. You must embrace it. You must invite the grind. This philosophy is deeply embedded in Eala's DNA today. As a left-hander standing at 5 feet 9 inches, she possesses a natural physiological advantage that instantly complicates patterns of play for her right-handed opponents. Her heavy, sweeping forehand, dripping with topspin, is a direct homage to the Spanish clay court lineage she was raised in. The world first truly took notice of this prodigy at the 2022 U.S. Open, where she captured the girls' singles junior championship. It was a historic moment, making her the first Filipino to win a junior Grand Slam singles title. But as any tennis historian will tell you, junior success does not guarantee professional glory. The transition to the senior ITF and WTA circuits is a notoriously brutal graveyard for former junior champions. For a couple of years, Eala had to endure the grueling, unglamorous grind of the lower-tier tournaments. In 2023, she began to make headway, qualifying for main draws in Huahin, Osaka, and Guangzhou, breaking into the top 200 for the first time. It was progress, yes, but it was a quiet, steady climb. Nobody could have predicted the volcanic eruption that was about to occur in the spring of 2025. Let me paint the picture for you. It was the Miami Open, one of the most prestigious WTA 1000 events on the calendar outside of the 4 majors. Eala entered the tournament as a wild card. She was ranked 140 in the world. On paper, she was a talented prospect, gaining some valuable main draw experience. In reality, she was a ticking time bomb of unfulfilled potential ready to detonate. Match by match, the young Filipina began to dismantle the established hierarchy of women's tennis. She played with a fearless aggression that belied her teenage years. And then came the seismic shockwaves. In back-to-back masterpieces of tactical execution and raw power, she registered victories over world number 5 Madison Keys. And then, inexplicably miraculously, she defeated world number 2 and dominant force IGA Swiatek. Take a moment to let that sink in. A 19-year-old wild card, ranked outside the top 100, taking down the most formidable player of this generation on a hard court. Eala stormed all the way to the semifinals in Miami. In doing so, she became the first player from the Philippines to reach a WTA 1000 semifinal, and the first to shatter the barrier of the WTA Top 100. The internet exploded. The viral videos of her crushing left-handed winners past Swiatek circulated millions of times across social media. But Eala proved it was no fluke. She carried that momentum into the grass court season, reaching her maiden tour-level final in Eastbourne, winning 6 consecutive matches through qualifying and the main draw. By September 2025, she had clinched her first WTA 125 level title in Guadalajara. She finished that breakout year at a career-high ranking of number 50. She had officially arrived. Going into the 2025-26 offseason, Eala was rewarded with a dream opportunity that speaks volumes about her standing in the sport. Rafael Nadal himself, preparing for a comeback, chose a young Filipina to be on the other side of the net for his first practice session since his retirement a year earlier. Eala later described the experience as crazy, admitting she was incredibly nervous and found the session physically demanding. But think about the psychological armor that builds. If you can stand across the net from the greatest clay court player in the history of the universe, trade heavy ground strokes with him, and absorb his direct mentorship, Stepping onto a match court against anyone else suddenly feels a lot less intimidating. This brings us to her 2026 campaign, the year where the sheer magnitude of her stardom became impossible to ignore. Eala kicked off the season with a phenomenal run to the semifinals in Auckland, a result that officially planted her flag inside the top 50. But what happened next was something entirely unprecedented in the modern WTA era. As she transitioned to the Middle East swing, playing tournaments in Abu Dhabi, Doha, and Dubai, she wasn't just a tennis player anymore. She was a traveling rock star. The Filipino diaspora came out in numbers that tournament organizers had never seen before for early round matches. Fans queued for hours, wrapping completely around stadiums, waving flags, painting their faces, and creating an atmosphere that felt more like a World Cup football match than a quiet tennis tournament. Eala herself has been incredibly candid about navigating this sudden, overwhelming fame. Reflecting on a match in Melbourne earlier this year, she admitted she was at a loss for words when she saw the videos of the crowds. She confessed to being a little in denial, stating, "It's hard to accept or really see yourself being someone with that much influence or that much impact because I've been myself my whole life. Nothing changed much in terms of who I am from 2025 to 2026. It's just that my success skyrocketed." She talked about having to mentally break down the barrier of not feeling famous, choosing instead to absorb the energy, accept the position, and channel that immense gratitude into her game. And her peers have certainly noticed. Fellow players have expressed absolute awe at the electrifying environments Eala generates whenever she steps onto court. Even in her quarterfinal loss to Coco Gauff in Dubai, a tightly contested battle, where Eala pushed the reigning superstar to a first-set tiebreak, the roar of the crowd was overwhelmingly tilted in the Filipina's favor. Now, we pivot to the European red clay. This is where the narrative of Roland Garros 2026 gets incredibly compelling. Despite her training in Spain, Eala's blistering, aggressive game naturally lends itself more to hard courts. This current stretch represents her first full-time professional clay court season at the tour level. Adapting a hard court mentality to the slow, slippery, demanding surface of clay is notoriously difficult. The movement is different. You have to slide into your shots rather than plant your feet. The ball bounces higher and slower, neutralizing sheer power and rewarding heavy spin, acute angles, and superhuman endurance. Eala has openly admitted she is still building her relationship with the surface at this elite level. Her preparation has been a mixed bag of brilliant flashes and grueling learning curves, tallying wins and losses through Linz, Stuttgart, Madrid, and Rome. But it was in Rome where we saw the Nadal Academy mentality truly shine through. In her opening match against Poland's Magdalena Frech, Eala found herself in an absolute dogfight. After sweeping the first set, she was dragged into an ugly, exhausting second set. Instead of panicking, Eala leaned on her conditioning. She later revealed that during the match, she looked at her team and told them she wasn't tired enough. She demanded more of herself, recognizing that she needed to finish the points feeling the physical toll, embracing the suffering. She eventually broke Frexel in 3 sets, a massive milestone victory on clay, before falling to world-class heavyweight Elena Rybakina in the next round. Eala recently suffered an early exit in Strasbourg against Oleinikova in a nearly 3-hour thriller, but make no mistake, her eyes and the eyes of her entire team have been solely focused on peaking for Paris. Before we discuss her draw, let's take a microscopic look at the tactical evolution that makes Eala so dangerous on this specific surface. Clay court tennis is often described as a game of physical chess. Unlike grass, where a massive serve can win you the tournament with minimal baseline rallies, the French Open demands variety. You need drop shots, you need extreme angles, and most importantly, you need to be able to fend out corners. Because Eala is a natural left-hander, her cross-court forehand naturally targets the backhand of a right-handed player. On a hard court, this shot penetrates through the court quickly, rushing the opponent. On clay, the ball grabs the surface and kicks up high above the shoulder. This specific dynamic, the lefty forehand ripping high and heavy into the righty backhand, is the exact blueprint Rafael Nadal used to win 14 French Open titles. By training at his academy for 7 years, Eala has internalized the geometry of this pattern. Furthermore, we must address the sheer cultural impact of her success. Tennis, historically, is an expensive sport with high barriers to entry, especially in developing nations. In the Philippines, basketball and boxing have traditionally dominated the sporting consciousness. Manny Pacquiao is a global icon. The local basketball leagues are religious institutions. But Alex Eala is single-handedly rewriting that cultural script. Young girls in Manila, Cebu, and Davao are now picking up tennis rackets. Local clubs are seeing surges in enrollment. She is proving that with the right sacrifice, discipline, and support, a Southeast Asian athlete can conquer the elite European and American sporting strongholds. She is not just playing for a trophy. She is playing to validate the athletic potential of an entire region. When those fans queue outside the stadiums in Dubai or Paris, they are not just cheering for a tennis player. They are celebrating representation. They are celebrating the fact that someone who looks like them, from their home soil, is standing toe-to-toe with the titans of the world and refusing to blink. Which brings us to the brutal, unforgiving reality of the 2026 Roland Garros draw. When the brackets were released a few days ago, analysts immediately circled Eala's quarter. She has been handed an absolute gauntlet. Her first-round opponent this Sunday is the rising American star, Iva Jovic. Jovic is no pushover. She reached a career-high ranking of 16 earlier this year, has had strong showings on clay including a semi-final run in Charleston, and ironically, captured her maiden WTA singles title in Guadalajara back in 2025, the very same city where Eala won her WTA 125 title. Adding a layer of complex emotional intrigue to this matchup is the fact that Eala and Jovic are close friends off the court. Just last week, they were exchanging warm comments on Instagram selfies. But come Sunday, on the Parisian dirt, that friendship will be suspended. Jovic possesses a lethal baseline game, and this first-round clash is guaranteed to be a spectacular tactical chess match. If Eala can navigate past Jovic, the road does not get any easier. Waiting in the second round is a potential matchup against either the incredibly solid Emma Navarro or Indonesia's Janice Jen. Now, if it's Jen, we are looking at a monumental moment for Southeast Asian tennis. Jen, alongside Eala, is ushering in a new wave of regional talent, having skyrocketed from outside the top 300 a year ago to a career-high 36. A second-round clash between the Philippines and Indonesia on the grand stage of Roland Garros will be a historic television event for the Asian continent. But look further down the bracket, and the true test of Eala's major championship medal comes into focus. Should she advance, the third round likely features either multiple-time Grand Slam champion Naomi Osaka or the fierce Croatian Dana Vekic. Survive that, and the fourth round projects a catastrophic collision with the powerhouse Aryna Sabalenka. A potential quarterfinal pits her against Jessica Pegula or Madison Keys, and the semifinals could bring a rematch with Coco Gauff. The final? Elena Rybakina or Iga Swiatek. It is a draw that would terrify most players. But Eala is not most players. She is the wild card who demolished Swiatek. She is a 20-year-old who actively asks to feel more tired during 3-hour clay court wars. She is a left-handed phenom carrying the hopes of over 100 million people on her shoulders, and she is thriving under the crushing weight of it. As we look ahead to this fortnight in Paris, the stakes simply could not be higher. The French Open is uniquely punishing. It exposes every weakness, drains every ounce of stamina, and breaks the spirits of those who are not mentally fortified for fight. Alexandra Eala is entering the ultimate crucible. The draw is arguably the toughest she could have possibly received, lined with former world number ones, Grand Slam champions, and heavy-hitting prodigies. Her first-round battle against Iva Jovic will immediately set the tone. It will tell us whether the recent struggles in Strasbourg were merely a bump in the road or a sign of fatigue. It will reveal how deeply the lessons of Mallorca have taken root in her mind when the lights are brightest and the pressure is at its absolute maximum. But regardless of whether she lifts the Coupe Suzanne Lenglen this year, reaches the second week, or falls in an early round epic, the central thesis remains absolute. The rise of Alexandra Eala cannot be denied. The era of her sneaking up on opponents as an unknown wild card is permanently over. She is now a known entity, a marked woman on the tour, a top 40 player who commands the respect and the fear of the locker room. She has shattered the glass ceiling for Philippine tennis and has proven that the massive, devoted fan base that follows her every move is justified in their belief. This tournament is going to be an absolute spectacle. From the opening serve against Jovic to the potential heavyweight clashes waiting in the wings, every time Eala steps onto the red clay, it will be appointment viewing. The tactical chess matches, the physical suffering, the deafening cheers of the crowd. It is all converging into a perfect storm of sporting entertainment. Eala represents the beautiful, unpredictable evolution of women's tennis, a sport that is constantly expanding its global footprint and unearthing superstars from every corner of the planet. Now, I want to hear from all of you. We are looking at a historic draw and a player carrying an unprecedented amount of momentum and pressure. How far do you honestly think Alexandra Eala can go in this year's Roland Garros? Can she utilize that heavy left-handed forehand to navigate past Iva Jovic? Are we going to see a historic Southeast Asian showdown in the second round? And if she makes it to the second week, does she have the physical endurance to go toe-to-toe with the Sabalenkas and the Swiatek's on their most dominant surface? Drop your detailed predictions, your bracket analysis, and your thoughts in the comments section below. I read every single one, and the debates down there are always incredible. If you enjoyed this comprehensive deep dive into the viral rise of one of the sport's most exciting young stars, please make sure you hit that like button, as it dramatically helps the channel out in the algorithm and allows us to keep bringing you this level of extensive coverage. If you have not already, hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss an update throughout the tennis season. We will be tracking the French Open closely, providing match breakdowns, tactical analyses, and updates on Eala's progression through this absolute gauntlet of a draw. Thank you so much for tuning in. The tennis world is shifting beneath our feet. The red clay of Paris awaits its next conqueror, and Alexandra Eala is standing on the baseline, racket in hand, ready to unleash absolute havoc. Enjoy the French Open, everyone, and I will see you all in the next video.